Thank you, Vivian. Chairman Cole.
Thank you very much. Number one, thank you for your testimony. Doctor, if I could start with you, I assume that the great majority of Kiowa students are in the public school system. Is that correct? It's hard to check that light. It really is.
I'll get used to that. Yes, that's correct.
And what are the programs, in your experience, that are the most helpful to them, supplementary type programs like Johnson O'Malley or whatever?
Yeah, I think Johnson O'Malley and Title VI are critical programs for our students in the public school system because sometimes they are the vast majority, as you know, especially in metropolitan areas and things like that. We have a lot of students who kind of just get lost in the shuffle of things. And so their Indian education tutor, their Johnson O'Malley coordinator, whatever that position is their one connection sometimes. And that's the critical thing that kind of lifts up their cultural identity. And that really helps them in the public school system. When they have a sound self-esteem, they're able to navigate those difficult situations.
Yeah, I remember now, it's a long time ago. My brother and I went to our school system, which was a public school system. We were both Chickasaw. Mm-hmm. The questions were always, are you? And if you were, they wanted you to check something. But there was never any program. They just got a little extra money. Mm-hmm. But nothing ever came to us. And same thing, we were military family, and so if you worked on base or something, there was impact aid. And that was fine. There was nothing extra for anybody. So do you have that kind of problem? Do you see people that get the money and not use the money for the intentions as it was intended?
I think that does happen. I think another thing that happens that we're finding out is that some of the smaller school districts just are not equipped, or they don't feel like there's enough impact or dollars to really go after those funds. And so that's just, detrimental to our students because they're entitled to that and they're not getting it. So what we have done is identified students in school districts, and if the school is not serving them, we're able to serve them through our Kiowa Education Agency.
That's terrific. Christina, tell me, you were talking about, would this take special legislation to allow you to opt out of the system that you're in now, and how would that work?
That's correct. It would be just adding our name to that legislation. I believe a copy was provided to you guys. And then from there, we would be able to contract according to our wishes and decide what services we'd like to pull out from BBHC. We're definitely thinking about mental health services for sure, but I think it would give us leveraging power to be able to improve services for our people.
Yeah, well, controlling your own health care is a big deal. Yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ranking Member Pam Greig.
Thank you. I think the Chairman Cole has asked a lot of the things I wanted to ask, but Doctor, I think it would be helpful, and it may be in your testimony, I just didn't go through it, but those areas that you brought up of concerns where there may have been changes over the past year in funding losses, whether it's the downsizing of the Department of Education or in scholarship funds or other places, it's very helpful for us to know the places that we've come to depend on for outside funding, outside of the Bureau of Indian Education, but other departments. And if that is disappearing, sometimes we're not as aware of it, but we can advocate for it. So anything else you want to provide to us, or like I said, if it's in your testimony, I'm happy to dig it up. But you can just think about that, and get back to us about it.
Yes, we can add some more supplemental information in the written comments. I think that the interagency agreements was a big concern, and it was very alarming for most of Indian country, and we all showed up in Washington, D.C. to say, we have a whole lot of questions, and we felt like the consultation happened after the agreement had been signed, so it was after the fact. That didn't feel very meaningful, but still, that's important. I think that especially, again, going back to the fact that most of our students are served in the public schools, that's very different from BIE schools. So some of them don't have that option. And so those interagency agreements and how that's going to pan out is very concerning.
Great. Well, we would love to stay abreast of that, so thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm happy to look at that legislation, so I'm sure if we have it, I'll look at it. And it's not an issue I know much about, but I'm happy to, dig in deeper. And having control of your own health care is obviously very important. I understand that.
Thank you.
And Vivian, it's hard to sort of wrap your head around the idea of a territory bigger than the state of New York, and you're already inside Alaska. We really, in the lower 48, don't understand the scale that you guys operate on. But thank you for that. And hearing you talk a little bit about the Tawahi, we hear so much about the importance of that program. So it's certainly one of my focuses about how we can expand it and deepen it. And you gave a lot of really good examples of why it has made a huge difference for you. So thank you for that. Yield back.
Thank you, ma'am. Well, Tony, I came from the Panhandle of Texas originally, and in 1930, my grandfather, Thomas VLZ, was a friend of Spotted Bird, Tanaquat, who's the younger brother of Lone Wolf. So I have an affinity with the Kiowa people, and look forward to coming to visit you. I still have family up in Perryton. My grandfather was actually the treasurer of Kiowa County at one time. So I look forward to coming up at some point and seeing what you have going on. If there's you have 15 seconds to tell me one last thing that you wish you could have said in your opening.
I've always wanted to say I yield back.
Okay, good. Okay.
Well done.
Okay,
Well
Christina
yielded.
and Vivian, you've come a long way from Alaska, and it's arduous. In fact, some of our members from Texas aren't even here yet, so I understand that you do this on your own dime, on your own time. It's a long journey. It's not just a flight. It's a trek. It's a pilgrimage, so to speak, for you to come up here, and I certainly do appreciate it. Same to you, either of you, starting with you, Christina. If there's something that you missed or that you'd like to close with, please go ahead.
I'd just like to say please consider that language. It would make a world of difference in our community for our health care.
You know, the best thing about language is it doesn't cost anything, generally. Right,
Correct.
Shelley. So you know, as we've talked about before, and it's good to see you again. That in this panel and certainly on the Appropriations Committee, these days are so important. The travel days are so important, up to 90 that we listen to, because it's important to the chairman, it's important to the ranking member, and it's important to, even though they're not here. This is appropriation season, so I want to tell everybody this once. I may have to say it again. It's appropriation season. There are a number of committees that are meeting right now. One of my other committees is meeting currently, which is where the chairman went to. It's unfortunate that they overlap, but for everybody who's not here, I can speak for Mr. Zinke, Mr. Cloud, Ms. Malloy, and Mr. Reschenthaler, that this is still very important to us in spite of the fact there's only two of us here. It's a bipartisan effort, and it means a lot to us. And Vivian, Tawahi, I'd never heard of that. I just want you to know that when you're talking to me, when you were talking about AVCP, everybody in the back was nodding their heads. So I watched the crowd to see what's important and going on, and nobody's asleep. Nobody has fallen asleep, and AVCP is important. So is Tawahi, and so thank you. Same to you. Do you have anything that you'd like to close with? Really briefly. We're a little behind timeline, but I want to give you a chance.
Yes.
It's on.
Okay. Thank you. Let's see. I have three requests. The first is to, of course, support Tawahi in its entirety and Senator Murkowski's work on children and families, her bill. Please support that. Second is I'd like to ask the committee to take a look at the GAO report on PL 280 states. It's really challenging to provide public safety in an area the size of our communities. We have 48 different communities, and we have a village public safety officer program that is contracted by nonprofits like ours, tribal consortiums, and it's really difficult. That particular report, we worked with them on it, and they did a site visit to our region, and I think those findings will be very helpful, and the recommendations. And then lastly, I want to talk about the Arctic typhoons that we've experienced in our region recently. We have whole communities that have been absolutely devastated. And for AVCP, last week we were in a meeting with Senator Tillis, and Senator Tillis' staff is working with Senator Murkowski's staff and Senator Sullivan's staff on a proposal from AVCP to create regional response centers, emergency response centers in Western Alaska. And we ask for you and your staff to take a look and work with the senators to come up with a strategy where we can address Arctic typhoons on the northern border in the United States, specifically Alaska. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all three for your impactful testimony. I appreciate it. Thank you. Now we're up to panel 8. We're looking for Dwayne Jackson, Derek Leslie, and Dwayne Clark. Is that right? Okay.
Thank you.
Well, we'll try to get the train moving on time again. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate you coming from Arizona. I hope the travel wasn't too difficult. So we'll start right ahead. Dwayne Clark, the floor is yours, sir.